You didn't.
Yep.
I thought you learned your lesson.
I guess not.
Dad, the vultures are back.
Okay, kids, you know the drill. Windows up.
Gone too far looking for a good deal on gas? Try Price Match, only from BP Me Rewards at participating BP and Amoco stations. Learn more at bp.com/best price.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Top 10 by Geek Vibes Nation. As always, I'm your host, Tia, and I have with me the amazing Brittany. I was going to say the fantabulous Brittany, but I feel like you wouldn't get the reference that I was going for.
Oh no, wait, now I want to know the reference. I was going to say I'm doing great, but now I'm just thinking of the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
That's an amazing show. I was saying, you remember when the movie Birds of Prey came out?
Yes, I never saw it.
So, Birds of Prey is actually the shortened version of the real title. And I'm not kidding you, the real title of that movie is it's called Birds of Prey and the Emancipation of One Fantabulous Harley Quinn.
That's the actual full title?
That's the actual full title, at least the full title that they were running with until they put it in theaters and saw that that wasn't going well for the marketing standpoint. And then they tried to market it as simply Birds of Prey. And then when people didn't know about it, then they marketed it as Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey. Very confusing.
I bet it's because Harley, like, that would have been better off as like Harley featuring the Birds of Prey.
And can I tell you, it's so funny that movie was called Birds of Prey, so you thought that there would be like this huge focus on the Birds of Prey, but not only was every trailer so Harley Quinn centric, but I actually saw the movie. And yeah, the movie's like 100% Harley Quinn's movie. She does the voiceovers. It's following her story and everything. And then the Birds of Prey just happened to pop up.
That's really weird. They should just, if they would have just called it Harley Quinn, it would have sold so well.
I think so too, because the movie didn't do like great. It didn't do terrible numbers, right? But not anything that you'd probably want to see from a movie, a DC movie and also a Harley Quinn movie, if that makes sense.
I can't see it. Like, I don't think it was awful, like, from hearing about it, but I just don't hear anybody like screaming its praises. I think I remember when you said you saw it and you were just like, it's all right.
Because the thing is, all right, so the movie was made with like a very low budget, which is fine, right? You don't need like massive budgets or anything like that. And so it did feel a little low budget in a sense. And Margot Robbie was great as Harley Quinn. She always is.
Their entire budget was just getting her.
And I don't know if you know who this is, Ian McGregor. He played Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
So he played the main villain. So I feel like because he's a very well-known actor, it's like it went to his salary as well. It's like Margot Robbie and Ian McGregor. That's our whole budget.
Playing Obi-Wan was like his, like, for me knowing him, like, that was your claim to fame. That's like, that put the food in your belly type situation.
You know that he's reprising that role. They're making a show on Disney Plus, an Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
That's insane. Like, I know people are excited for it, which, I work in IT, so the guys at work are like, oh my god, this is the best day of my life. And I'm like, I'm sure it is. I'm
kind of excited for it. I have to say I am, because I thought that his character was one of the best characters in the prequel trilogies. Yeah. And, I've been enjoying what Disney Plus is giving us in terms of Star Wars. Like, you watch The Mandalorian. How good
Yeah,
was
I was
that?
gonna say, I'm excited for what they've made because, my thing is I wasn't a huge fan of the movies, but the thing was for me is I never saw the original ones, and I still haven't fully seen the original
Oh
ones,
shit.
like with Vader, yeah. And it's like I always loved Vader, but I always loved the era Vader, and I had seen, the clips of Vader. But for me, I never had fully seen it. So what I grew up with was the less popular ones were, where there was Obi-Wan, but he really sold it himself, right?
Hmm.
And so I knew people loved him, but I know people don't ultra love those movies. And so I think for me, I just didn't think much of the movies. And so, like, actually seeing the lore and getting to actually enjoy it that way has been nice, like, through, say, Mandalorian, where it's like, I have learned I don't much care about what happens with, the Jedis themselves. I'm more invested in the side story and everything else going on.
I will say so. Growing up, the prequels, right, with Obi-Wan and Anakin, were the Star Wars that I grew up on. And
Yeah.
I mean, I do remember enjoying them. I remember
Yeah.
enjoying them. Um, I did see the original trilogy back when I
Jar
was
Jar
young.
Binks can suck it though.
Hmm?
Jar Jar Binks can suck it though.
Yeah, okay, so about during the pandemic, right, last summer, when I got Disney Plus, I went through this whole like Star Wars watching binge. And I will say that going back and like rewatching the prequels, I found Jar Jar Binks so insufferable. And I was like, God, you're horrible. But I still do feel bad about the actor because he went through a lot apparently from people being so shitty about it. But um I put that on George Lucas's shoulders for creating a character like that. But
Yeah.
the original trilogy, I think the first two still hold up pretty well. The third one, I'm sorry, I think that's Return of the Jedi or something. I forget, but it was so cheesy because it was getting into like the 80s, and for some reason, so many 80s movies were so corny. Um, so that was fine. Uh, the Force Awakens, I didn't like. The Last Jedi was a hot pile of fucking garbage.
I
I
didn't see those ones, but I've heard things.
but you saw
I've heard
no
that.
no no no. You saw the Force Awakens because that was your moment when you thought Kylo Ren was cool up until he
No,
took
no,
off
I
his
meant the
helmet.
last one. Sorry, I get the names mixed up. The latest ones. Not I've seen that one. I haven't seen the movies past that.
Okay, so the Last Jedi was the second one. It was a hot pile of garbage. I didn't see what was the third one that just came out? I didn't see The Rise of Skywalker. I heard mixed things about it, but I will say Rogue One was amazing because, as you said, it was the side stories. Like, just like with The Mandalorian, right? It didn't focus on the Jedi's, it focused on characters we didn't know, and for some reason, that was just so much better.
No, no, I do like whenever sorry, I just started laughing because I was remembering how people simp so hard for Kylo Ren now, where there's girls that are like, he can be fixed. There was nothing wrong with him, and they go hard for Kylo Ren. I got to remembering that and it made me laugh.
Well, apparently in The Rise of Skywalker, which I guess spoiler alerts for those who haven't seen it, but it has been out, I think, for over a year now. I mean, in it, Rey and Kylo do end up kissing, and I was like, wow, this is a piece of fan fiction.
Aren't they technically? Aren't they? No, they're not. I was about to say, aren't they technically cousins? But then I was like, oh,
That was
I was
Luke
like,
and Leia
yeah,
as
I was
siblings.
like, are they cousins? I was like, is there a relation? Or like, is she related to Luke? And then I was about to have like a freaking crisis over here, Tia. I mean, I'm
No, no,
from
no.
Arkansas, but I ain't that deep into Arkansas, Tia.
Oh my god, I love it. But whatchamacalls it? Yeah, so this top 10 is not about Star Wars. I feel like if we did a top 10, we'd do something like top 10 worst Star Wars moments, worst Star Wars movies. I don't
Worst
know.
characters.
Worst.
We could do top 10 best and worst characters in the series.
That would honestly be hilarious because you and I are not that deep into Star Wars, and I feel like it would piss some people off. They'd be like, well, have you seen the comics? Have you read the books? Have you seen the animated series? It's like, no. And it's like, well, how could you judge? And it's like, I'm going to judge. That's what we do
And
here.
it's like, I'm pretty judgmental. Watch me.
Watch me. But this podcast is not about Star Wars. This actually is the top 10 movies to watch this summer. And I should clarify because I apparently didn't do too good of a job clarifying it to Brittany before, but this is just supposed to be a fun list of movies that you should watch this summer. It's nice out, so you probably won't be spending that much time indoors. You know, a lot of restrictions are being lifted. People are getting vaccinated, so you're probably all very excited to get out there, but whether it's an old movie or a new movie, I figured we should just go through movies that would be enjoyable to sit down and watch while you're at home. So this is not a podcast about movies that are actually coming out this summer. They're movies mostly about just, again, what we like. So I figured that would be a good topic. But yeah.
I love it. I still laugh about it because I was like, I even looked back. I was like, what did I misunderstand? And I'm like, it was so open for interpretation. It just made me laugh.
Yeah, sometimes, here at the top 10, we're very transparent with our listeners. Sometimes we do a lot of research for our top 10s. We think about it days, weeks in advance. And other times life gets in the way and we're busy and we literally talk a few hours beforehand and go, let's do this topic. So that definitely was this week.
We're taking it a day at a time.
We're taking it a day at a time. But listen, we do well here at the top 10. We have plenty of amazing episodes that you should check out. Last week we did the top 10 best Tom Hardy roles. So that was fun. Make sure you check that out.
Nice transition.
Thank you. I'm trying to get better at it. But before we get into the list, we always have to give our good friends over at Stranger Damies a huge shout out. Stranger Damies is a podcast. It's a Dungeons & Dragons D&D podcast from the main Damie family of podcasts. If you enjoy mystical dragons, amazing adventures, treasure galore, and also a touch of the 1980s, make sure you check out Stranger Damies at Stranger Damies, both on Twitter and Instagram. Tell Mark, Anthony, and Dan that both Tia and Brittany said hello. And also, I do want to give a huge shout out to our friends over at the Kinda Nerdy Girls podcast. We are desperately trying to get KJ and Patches on so that we can do the top 10 Chris Evans roles. I don't know if I told you that, Brittany, but that's what we're doing because they are huge Chris Evans fans. They have something called Chris Miss. That they're actually starting in about a month. And every podcast they have a Chris Evans update. So I thought I really liked Chris Evans, but I can't hold a candle to the Kinda Nerdy Girls network. But they're amazing. Can I tell you?
You know what? I accept it. I appreciate that kind of commitment to Chris Evans.
I do too, and they're really great. I've been on 3 of their shows now. KJ and Patches and by the way, they insisted that he's called Patches because I thought his name was Patrick. They're a married couple, and KJ's like, Tia, you're the only one who calls him Patrick. Everyone calls him Patches, and I'm like, all right, I guess I'll get used to this. But
be cool, Tia. Don't make this weird.
Don't make it weird, but make sure you check them out. They are also joined by Jonna and Katie. Katie herself is also a gamer, so make sure you check that all out. But yeah, we have a lot of great friends here at Geek Vibes Nation, so make sure you check them all out. But let's get into this top 10. Let's do this. Brittany, do you got a number 10 to start us off with?
I do, and you're gonna love and hate me. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You should watch Silence of the Lambs.
I was gonna say it's gonna Silence of the Lambs.
I laugh. I always put it here, but Tia, it's almost like a tradition now.
It
that
is a
if you
tradition at this point.
If you give me a chance to sound the lip, okay, this is my argument. Okay, Tia, are you ready? You know what really spells summer? You know what really spells summer? Murder. A good murder mystery. You know the whole like, I know what you did last summer kind of thing. Well, Tia, listen to me here, okay? I need you to really just sit here and listen to it. Murder is a great way to spend the summer. I mean, it's exhilarating. Especially if you're eating people, I'm sure it's really refreshing for Hannibal. You know, and I think if I think back to it, it took place in the summer because it was really hot. Because you know it's like the 80s or early 90s when all this murder is going on, and they're all in this hot, stuffy room, and all I could think of is like, that must be in summertime, Tia. And you know, at the end of Silence of the Lamb, you know, Hannibal does escape, and I think he goes to Colombia. He goes somewhere really warm, and I think that's really tropical, Tia. But
I love the way that you're selling this.
Oh yeah, there you go. You know, and I really think, you know, Hannibal would be able to make something really refreshing this summer that would just be just excellent. But on a real actual serious note, I probably will be watching this movie again very soon. I do love the movie. And for a movie where like Hannibal only shows up for 5 seconds, I will tell you though, on a side note, I told the guys at work, you know, I've been interning at the IT department. I said I knew something was wrong with me when I know my first like crush was on Hannibal Lecter, and the freaking IT director just stopped and just like looked at me and he said, I don't know if it's okay for you to still work. I don't know. For me, I think the movie really is like almost like a comfort movie. Like I could put it on and listen to it and go about doing other stuff and just be perfectly fine, you know, and just enjoy myself and just kind of listen to it because it has a little bit of everything. There is the mystery, and it's kind of like, you know how sometimes you have that comfort movie where you know every twist and turn, so you know you're not going to get surprised or stressed out. It's just like, yeah, this is a stressful movie, but you know it all works out in the end, and it's great. It's great, Tia.
I should expect Silence of the Lambs to show up on every single top 10 that it can. So you did not disappoint.
I give you a really good reason for it too. I mean, it's very summery movie. What's funny is I actually go see. I think the movie did come out in a summer.
Oh.
And I actually do think more murders happen in the summer.
And just like that, we got demonetized.
There you go.
I was gonna say, like, you know, Anthony Hopkins just won an Oscar at like the age of 83.
As he should.
And I'm like, that man continues to give just superb performances. And I will say that prior to meeting Brittany, I actually had never seen Silence of the Lambs. I knew of the cultural references, right? I feel like you can't have been a 90s baby and grown up during that time without knowing some things about the movie, right? And also on top of that, do you remember there was a show that was literally called I Love the 70s, I Love the 80s, I Love the 90s. Do you remember that? Yeah.
No, I was obsessed with it because I was really obsessed with the 80s one and hoping they would talk about Transformers. And I kept trying to catch it in time to see if they would talk about Transformers.
I don't think they ever did.
I know, depressing.
But I'm just saying, like, I think that show honestly should be like recommended for kids to watch because I got all of my cultural, pop cultural, even historic references from that show. I mean, they went through things that were happening in real life, from the Berlin Wall getting knocked down to, what was happening in entertainment and everything. So it's like when they did I Love the 90s, they obviously talked about Silence of the Lambs. So again, I knew about it, right? And then I
Cool.
watched it at your house, what, like 6 years ago or something at this point. And I was like,
Bruh, that made me feel old. Holy shit. Never said it like that ever again. Holy shit.
and I was like, wow, I understand what everyone means when they talk so highly of this movie. And Anthony Hopkins' performance is so great that you literally kind of forget that he's only in it for like 10 minutes.
I know. That's why, like, sometimes I just look at the compilations of like his scenes because I'm like, oh, I could watch this in the time it like takes for the shower to warm up and for me to lay out my clothes for the day. I have a problem, Tia, and I'm not sorry about it. I just need you to know that.
Well, can I point out something too? So Paulie and I then rewatched the movie not too long ago, actually, I want to say. I know he like swung by at some point to like say that we watched it recently, but we did watch it not too long ago. And I have to say that as I was watching it, this sounds bad, but do you ever go back and watch it and it's the moment when Buffalo Bill kidnaps that girl and you kind of think to yourself how dumb she was? And I know that sounds
I
bad, but it's like he's literally like, "Can you help me put this couch in my van?" And she's like, "Okay." And then it's like, "Oh, well, can you get in first? I'm going to just push the couch into you or something." She's like, "Okay." And then he closes the doors and drives away. And I'm like, "Girl,
yeah,
no."
and like I for a long time watching, I was like, okay, I'm never gonna help someone. But I think what they were trying to say, between who, because her mother is like the governor or senator, right, of that state
Yeah.
they're in, which like it's actually been a little bit since I've watched it fully through again. So, I'm not as like well versed as I used to be. My thing is that her mom goes on about how she's such a sweet girl and that, really just talking about how great her daughter is. And I think what it's supposed to be is that, she has a big moment where, she's begging with him and she seems very like timid, very upset, very scared, very naively innocent. But by the end, when she gets out and she seems so angry, like, like she's just so ready to be out, like when she gets the dog and she holds it, hostage against him. I think it's kind of her awakening too, in a sense, of like that kind of innocence lost, because she fucking took that dog, and I think she keeps it because it hurts its leg whenever it falls down, and she's still fucking clutching that dog at the end. And I'm like, she really fucking loves that dog now.
Well, it needs a new home, so.
I mean, Clarice can shoot the fuck out of that dude, so
Yeah, right?
he's like, and what I thought was neat about it is that, Hannibal does take a moment to really like psychoanalyze the guy, but in a way that you wouldn't have gotten that beforehand. You would just been like, oh, he's fucking crazy. He's making like a suit out of skin.
I mean, it was a very like intelligent movie, and you don't realize how much of that movie is just talking until you go back and rewatch it, and it's like so much of it is just talking. But it's great. It's an amazing movie.
Yeah.
A great choice. Starting us off strong here at the top 10. I'm gonna get number 9. And I'm gonna do a major flashback. And I was like, I don't know why. I haven't seen this movie in forever. So I too have to watch it again this summer. For no other reason than it's just talk about nostalgia and a feel good movie. Please tell me that you've seen The Mummy.
Okay, yes and no. I remember it one time being on at my great aunt's and everybody watching it. and but me myself have never actually seen. I remember that was The Rock in it?
You're not a true 90s baby when you haven't
Yeah,
seen the mummy.
I know. I'm old enough to remember when it came out, and I even think, and this isn't me just like making it up, I'm just being serious. I may have even seen that movie, but it's kind of like I went and saw Planet of the Apes when it first came out, when they first did like the newer one, not the one where like there's the fucking Abraham Lincoln is a fucking like ape
Yeah.
and everything. I remember that, but I don't remember it. Like I was there for it, but I don't remember it.
This is where the age difference of you and I really comes into play. But I really quick, you said The Rock, right? So really quick, the second mummy, The Rock makes a very brief appearance because his whole thing, he's the Scorpion King, right? And he makes a very
Yeah.
brief appearance. And then they did a spin-off featuring The Rock and like his backstory called The Scorpion King. And can I tell you, because that was like, I want to say The Mummy 2 was The Rock's first movie. I could be wrong, but it definitely was in the first 5 movies that he's ever done outside of the WWE, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how he actually became a great movie star from The Scorpion King, because that was a huge hot pile of garbage.
No.
One of the worst movies I've ever seen. And so it's like sometimes I think back and I'm like, The Rock is, I think they said like last year the highest paying actor, which it's like fine, like The Rock is great, I enjoy a lot of his movies, but it's like I can't believe that Hollywood like took a chance on him after how horrible
I know
Scorpion King was.
They collectively went, yeah, I can take a chance on this guy. It's cool.
It's cool. Yeah, Scorpion King was fucking awful. But anyway, I actually like The Mummy 2 as well, but this is about the first Mummy. Oh God, Brittany. I can't.
No,
You've never seen The
no.
Mummy. I'm
sorry.
I love The Mummy. You have Brendan Fraser in like the height of Brendan Fraser, and he's this like,
You were simping hard. I can feel it in my bones.
I want to say like first childhood crush. Like,
And
but
this is where we differ on our first childhood crushes. I'm
yes,
sorry.
yes. But so you have like Brendan Fraser's character, and he's this, wild man who, he's in Egypt, and he is, he specializes in going in, and he knows about the pyramids and the this and the that, right? And then you have Rachel Weisz's character, who's this, she's a librarian, she's very not, I wouldn't say meek, right, but she's very like put together, and she never does
Very
anything
proper.
Yeah, very proper. She never does anything adventurous. And her brother, who is hilarious, definitely the comic relief, but he's also a bit of like a scoundrel, because he's like, he wants, to explore, and he's taking his sister, but they need a guide, right? And they see Brendan Fraser's character, who, by the way, is about to get like hanged for something that he did. I forget now, because it has been a long time since I've seen The Mummy. And he ends up like surviving. He ends up surviving the hanging.
Oh my God.
And just like their relationship is so funny, because he's just so like not proper or anything, and she's just like proper, and like thinks that he's disgusting and all that, at first, and obviously through the course of the movie they fall in love, blah blah. But anyway,
love, gross. Not sure.
no, their relationship's actually great. But the whole like thing about The Mummy is, it is so cool, the backstory of it, because it follows this guy, Emotep, who was like the priest for this pharaoh who had a wife, but Emotep was sleeping with the wife, Anaxumanun. So when it was discovered, he was killed. They were separated by death, and so he comes back to life and everything. So it's like you literally have like these mummies coming back to life, and Emotep's trying to be reunited with his long lost love, but she's not going to be reincarnated like he is. Like he needs to get a body. He gets Rachel Weisz's character at some point to like be the body and everything. It's fucking insane. You have mummies coming to life. You have fucking like beetles that literally get under your skin and fucking eat you from the inside. Like
Ugh.
it's so insane. It's
And
so
you saw those as a child? No, sure.
yeah, no, I will tell you that every time they did that, I had to look away because they did it a few times in the movie, and it like
Ugh.
the movie definitely had some really creepy moments and the whole, to me, a lot of the message sometimes of the movie was how greed will get you, because there's so many times within the first and second movie where you'll have the one character who's like wants all the riches because they're going into the pyramids where pharaohs were buried with gold and all these treasures, and they're hungry for that while they're trying to escape with their lives. Like there's one character that literally is trying to put all the gold he can in a bag, and like Ben Fraser's character is saying, we got to go, the walls are closing, what are you doing? He's like, no, and he ends up getting trapped and dying.
That's
So
pretty horrific.
yeah, and there's one point where in order to get into a door, like you have to put your hand in this hole, and this one guy does it, and literally all those bugs start like eating his freaking
I
arm.
do remember that scene. I do remember that because it made me not want to reach my hand in the thing. Does
Yeah,
that hold like a bone? Like a
yeah.
bone hand?
He literally pulls back, say, a
Jesus
skeleton hand.
Christ.
It definitely, now that I look back on it, it was not probably meant for children. But
Dude, you think?
I loved it. I mean, The Mummy is such an adventure. It has everything. It's an adventure story. It's a love story.
We need to watch it in October. Can we watch it in October? I will wait
Yes.
to watch it just to watch it with you for the first time.
Oh my God, you won't regret it. It's such an amazing movie. It's so fun. And it's unexpected. There are, say, real consequences in the movie, Not everyone makes it out alive. And I don't know, I really enjoyed that. And I will say one last thing, like, again, there are some characters in it that are absolutely like sniveling characters. And one of my favorite scenes, again, I guess spoiler alert, but whatever. It's been out for like 20 years. So there's this one character in it who's the epitome of like a sniveling character. He betrays Brendan Fraser's character over and over again because he's greedy. Again, another character that's super greedy. And there's at one point where he is in the same room when Emotep is like coming to life, and it looks like he's going to kill him. And this guy whose character is named Benny, which is totally not like the other characters Benny that we've seen in Supernatural, but he has like all these necklaces of different religions, and he keeps like trying to like put out a necklace that will work,
Oh
until
my God.
until finally he gets one. But pretty much Emotep is like, oh, you're pretty much gonna be my little bitch at this point. But yeah, it's a great movie. I don't know if I sold it or not, but
No, I actually really want to watch it now. I'm actually really looking forward to it. It sounds good.
if
I
I could,
remember like my parents loved it, and I know a lot of other people that love it. Like I think Aaron loves it too, but I'm just like, I have not seen it.
the first one was great, and I really liked the second one as well. I actually never saw the third one because even though Brendan Fraser was in it, Rachel Weisz didn't come back. And I just thought their chemistry was so good that I just kind of didn't want to watch it if they weren't together. You know what I'm saying? I was like,
You
oh,
little bitch. You are big about that. I've noticed it. Like with there's like big chemistry between characters and they don't return them, you're like,
well,
is it
you know
even
what?
real?
No, you know what it is? It's like 1 and 2, I think, were really great successes because it felt like everyone put their hearts into it. And I feel like
Uh,
the third one was an obvious cash grab because it didn't do nearly as well. No one really talks about it. You talk about 1 and 2 because 1 and 2 were great, but the third one, you're kind of like, nah. And then, they came out with like another Mummy where Tom Cruise was in it, and that was awful. But anyway, yeah. So the Mummy, I definitely suggest. Brittany, let's just move on. What's your number 8?
I'm gonna go with Lawless. Because
Yeah.
I know we just got done talking about this, but I really, really do enjoy Lawless. And for me, it goes back to a comfort movie. There's not a lot of movies that I just sit and go, man, I really want to watch that, even though I've watched it a million times. But it's almost like therapeutic. Like there's so much like an adventure to it. You know what I mean? Like there's such like, oh, there's I guess I kind of like the old timey feel of it. It feels a lot more simple because sometimes I feel like when you have a movie or show that's more modern, there's so many different things you have to consider. Like, oh, they're gonna get a call. There's got to get this. You got to drive. You got to do this. There's something kind of I wouldn't know if I would just say like quaint about it, but there's something nice about not having to worry about a million other things. It's just in one central location with a lot of shit happening. But there's almost a comfort in it. But it's just always such a good movie, and I won't go super super deep into it because we did just talk about it. But it's like when you have kind of that moonshine adventure, like Prohibition era, and for like Tia, we both know we love like old like mobster shit, like especially with the Prohibition. So to have it kind of like not really like mob, like not like like Al Capone, but it actually kind of did because did one of the freaking oh fuck what's his name Shia LaBeouf or Shia LaBeouf um he isn't he really like obsessed with that one like mobster that came through town and like shoots up.
Yes, he was like, because he was like a Chicago gangster, and knew Al
And he
Capone
wanted
or
to be
something.
like him. He wanted to
Yeah.
be like him. And he got all excited because I think the guy like winked at him or something, and that really puts him on the path of like wanting to fucking do that. And I don't know. The movie's just I don't even know where to begin with it. It's just one of those good, and when you have Tom Hardy in it, looking fucking just like trying to pop out of his fucking sweater, and his relationship with Maggie, and Have You Met Howard? And I don't know, all the brothers and everyone had really good chemistry.
No, we just got talking about Lawless when we did the whole top 10 best Tom Hardy roles, and it's like it still stands up as probably like one of the best Tom Hardy roles of all time. And I love Lawless. I think like that it's a great movie that I can continue watching over and over and over again. As you said, I love the whole like prohibition thing. I love the way that the movie is structured. It has happy moments, it has sad moments, it has, death, adventure, it has a lot. And I like this idea of this movie where you just have these moonshiners and it's just following their lives in their little small town. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I love it. I love the brothers, and I wouldn't change a thing about Lawless. I thought it was great.
I know. I think it's like I even love the villain in it. Like he was so hateable. He was fucking awful. And his fucking like OCD with like touching people, like that one girl when it's like, oh, I think I don't know who she was like to them, like, but like when he had her on the bed and he made her sit on newspapers, I was like, you're a fucking awful human being. You are disgusting. But he was such a good hateable character, like one of those you really rooted against, but he made a great villain.
Yeah, Guy Pearce as Charlie Rakes, I think, did a really good job in making this absolutely despicable villain with really no redeemable
Oh
characteristics.
yeah, he was totally redeemable. And then he killed the freaking one of the guy's friends.
He killed Shia LaBeouf's character Jack. He killed his friend in such a
Yeah.
horrible way too. I thought to
He
myself,
breaks
what?
his neck.
Yeah, and I was like, what did he do to you? He did
He
nothing.
was breathing, so he fixed it to you.
If he breathing, he need be dead.
Dude, you just reminded me of if she breathes, she's a star. Have you seen that?
No.
Oh my god. It's back on the Star Wars thing. I'll send it to you after the podcast.
Okay, good. Yeah. But I agree, Lawless is a super fun movie to definitely watch this summer. I mean, I think the soundtrack is really good. Um, you will end up rooting for these characters in the end, even though I guess you could technically say, like, they are doing something illegal, but you know, um, it's just alcohol. Who cares? No, you
I
should.
mean, I still live in the prohibition, so
Yeah, that you know what? That is very true. That's very true. Yeah, I love it. That movie really, I mean, first of all, that movie um kind of made me look at Shia LaBeouf differently as an actor, which, Shia's going through a lot of crazy shit right now, which is not good. So that sucks, to kind of find that out, but at least that I'm just talking about me at the time of when Lawless came out. I'm going to be honest, before then, all I had seen him in was Transformers, and I was like, wow, I actually kind of like him in this movie. And I love Tom Hardy. I love and Jason Clarke, who played Howard. That was the first movie I saw him in, and I definitely now when I see him in projects, I kind of get a little more interested. I'm not like the biggest watcher of his career like some actors I'm very fond of, but I still get interested when I see him in a project just because it all goes back to Lawless.
I just had a reminder of one of the guys at work today said, I said something about the Punisher. I was like, oh, John Boyega, oh, I love him. And he said, yeah, he goes, I was really afraid. He goes, because I fucking hated Shane. He goes, I hated Shane so bad. I nearly stopped watching. And I was like, dude, that's how you know he's a great villain. And I had to give like the spiel of like, he couldn't go back for Rick. And I said, he's like, but Rick hadn't been supposedly dead for so long before they were suddenly banging. And I was like, yeah, but it was the apocalypse. And he's like, stop standing up for him. I'm like, I'm
Shane
sorry.
Shane Walsh did nothing wrong.
Did nothing wrong except everything.
Except everything. But yeah, I love it. You putting Lawless down. Guys, it's a great movie to watch this summer. You should definitely check it out. Let me go to my list and make sure that I'm here. So I'm actually going to pick a movie that came out recently, and I believe it's still available on HBO Max. Hang on, let me actually make sure I get the movie title right. Okay, yeah, okay. That's what I thought it was. It's Godzilla versus Kong. So
Oh man.
yeah, so this movie just came out and I think it's really good. First of all, who doesn't love an action-packed movie during the summer, right? And for those who are listening, if you watched 2017's Kong Skull Island, and then you watched, I believe it came out last year or 2 years ago, Godzilla King of the Monsters. So Godzilla versus Kong is the next one in that lineage of movies. So it's literally the King Kong that we saw in Skull Island versus Godzilla that was in Godzilla King of the Monsters. And I think that the movie Godzilla versus Kong was a nice combination of obviously getting to see two giant monsters fight each other and blended with, say, the humans. Because it's like in these movies, right? Like to me, the whole King Kong and Godzilla thing is kind of similar to like the Transformers, where you sit there and go, I could literally be fine with just a movie of the
Oh
big
yeah.
giant things. I don't need the humans, but in Transformers, at least they talk. In
Yeah.
Godzilla and Kong obviously don't talk, so in a way you do need humans. But I didn't find the humans, like their parts, so insufferable that it took away from the movie. And
Yeah.
the movie is really interesting because if you watch Godzilla King of the Monsters, like Godzilla is clearly, say, a hero, a protector. So in Godzilla versus Kong, slight spoilers here, but Godzilla is very much, at least in the beginning of the movie, the aggressor. And if you're a Godzilla fan and you've seen Godzilla King of the Monsters, you are probably a little confused at first because they don't give an explanation right away as to why he is fighting against King Kong and why he's so aggressive. The explanation does come later, and it's a pretty plausible one, so it's pretty satisfying. But you totally are like, why is Godzilla being this way? And it's a pretty good. The two of them had a pretty good like knockout brawl. Um, and I'm not say the biggest kaiju fan, but even I was like, what, this is badass seeing the two of them go at it.
By the way, you're gonna think I'm so dumb when you were like, you're trying to figure out why he's so aggressive, and I was like, it's because he's got all these teeth and no toothbrush. Have you seen Waterboy?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that was wasted on you. Wasted. No, I'm
It
joking.
was.
I have so many things. I have so many things to send you right after this. But I was gonna say I need to see this movie because I've seen everything else. I'm completely caught up. There's no reason for me to not watch it. I don't know.
Have you
I'm
seen
slacking,
Godzilla?
Tia.
Have you seen Godzilla King of the Monsters?
I have.
Oh,
I
okay,
have.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you would definitely enjoy Godzilla versus Kong. Um, I think it's really good. King Kong definitely is painted as this really sympathetic character, especially if you've seen, and I know you have, but I'm saying in general, if you've seen Kong Skull Island, it's like you definitely saw him as this good guy who's just protecting people. And so in the movie, right? King Kong has this like bond with this little girl, and it's such a great bond. And again, you're like, human interaction, but it's not huge. It's in subtle little moments, and I really love it. It makes you sit there and go, wow, Kong is like such a great character. I'd like to meet Kong one day. And then you remember he's a gigantic freaking ape, and you're like, never mind.
You know, didn't they say like in the other movie he was still like an adolescent and that he's a fucking adult now and he's fucking massive?
Well, yeah, you definitely see that because compared to Kong Skull Island, you can tell that he's gotten bigger, especially when he goes up against Godzilla, because Godzilla is freaking massive. Like, oh my God. Can I tell you one thing? That in Godzilla versus Kong, I can't believe that these two beings can do as much damage as they can, and it doesn't cause actual, say, permanent damage to the planet. Because
I
Godzilla
just
is
wonder how they
massive.
eat that much.
That too. That too. I will say their end fight is so badass. And then there's like another element that's thrown in it, and I really don't want to ruin it because you really should watch Godzilla versus Kong before it leaves HBO Max, and because the end element that they throw in there is really cool.
Oh, now I need it. I know I've been slacking on movies too. I've been slacking. I did see the new Demon Slayer movie, but I'm slacking on the rest of it.
I'm just saying it's a good movie for you and Aaron on a day that you're just both kind of chilling, put it on, and enjoy two freaking massive monsters going at it. So yeah. Godzilla versus Kong, I definitely suggest for those who are listening, especially before it leaves HBO Max, because HBO Max has a window that it's put on, so it's not going to be there forever. So make sure you check it out. Brittany, what's your next one?
You're gonna I love Forrest Gump.
Oh my
Like
god.
I for me that I don't know why that speaks more of like summer movie to me. It makes me think of like back when my parents had their lake house, like, and there was no internet there was nothing, there's just like hanging out, having a good time, having drinks and watching a good movie. And I remember watching like Forrest Gump over there, and I don't know, there's just something fun about it. Like, yes, there's serious notes in it that, do get stressful, like, Vietnam, him losing losing Bubba and going through everything, but it's presented in a way that it kind of is almost, I'm not saying like children should learn life lessons from it, but it's like it it took a lot of serious matters and like made them in a way that was like digestible for like a common audience, without being too serious. I mean, for God's sake, like fucking Forrest, like poor him, where he's like, yeah, his namesake is fucking awful, and they're just like, yeah, because he's so naive, he doesn't know anything like that, or this like yeah, when he just takes off running one day because he's upset over Jenny, and there's like I don't know, in his powerful moment where he's like, I may not be a smart man, but I know, basically I know what love is. I don't know. It's a cute movie. It's really serious in some parts, but I could sit and watch it probably back to back at least 3 times before I was like, okay, I'm done with this fucking movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of Tom Hanks's most memorable roles.
I
And
bet your grandma loves it too.
okay, so for new listeners out there, because we haven't touched upon this in a while, my grandmother loves Tom Hanks. She thinks he's one of the best actors, and he is. He's one of the best actors. But I think she just loves him because he can do a lot of different movies. And I think that she my grandparents are old school, right? They don't like their movies with excessive violence, cursing, sexual content, right? So to me, I feel, and she said it before, like Tom Hanks's movies are digestible because they are really good movies, and a lot of them do cover some serious things, but it doesn't do it in a way that has to be very raunchy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think they have to take more thought into the actual plot to not come across a certain way instead of, kind of leaning on basic shit, I guess. You get what I mean?
Well, yeah, it's kind of, how people always say that curse words are filler words, and we all curse.
Yeah.
But they are to a degree, and you can say in movies excessive violence and excessive sex scenes are fillers. So like the movie Captain Phillips, right? That's a really serious movie. It has to deal with a ship getting taken over by pirates, but a movie like that my grandma still loves because it's able to tell its story in a very tense way without being just overly shocking.
Yeah.
And again, listen, we watch plenty of movies that have excessive violence and sex scenes and cursing and everything. I'm just saying from the perspective of my grandparents, they really like Tom Hanks for this reason. And Forrest Gump is one of his most iconic movies. And yeah, it kind of teaches you life lessons. I mean, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what
It
you're
is
going to
like
get.
a box of chocolates, yeah. It is.
It is.
Sorry, I really just, I don't know. It's kind of like there's just so much in it. For me, I really, I fucking love history. History is my favorite thing in the entire world to learn about. And it's almost like a history lesson too.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just saying, like, it's just like a history lesson because you're going through every like major event in history up to the point of his birth down to the earliest.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I will say that to me, one of those iconic moments is Bubba, right? And he's
Oh,
like,
I love Baba.
and he's going through all the ways you could eat shrimp. And I kind of sat there, I'm like, he's right. There are a lot of ways you can eat shrimp. That's amazing.
You're right. There's a fucking lot of ways to what's the word for it? Cook shrimp. Dude, now I'm hungry. Thanks a lot, Tia.
I don't know if it's still in New York City, but there was a restaurant called Bubba Gump.
I've been to one. I loved it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been there because I just don't think I was ever with people who were interested in going. But I would have been interested in going, especially I hope their shrimp was good because it's like you can't have a restaurant called Bubba Gump and their shrimp not be good.
I remember it was good, but I remember it was expensive. But it may have already been because I think I was in Florida around like Universal Studios, which probably didn't help.
No, it didn't at all. No, but I love that you picked Forrest. It's a feel-good movie, also bittersweet. It has a lot of emotions to it. But I think what is great about this movie, especially for say summer, is Forrest always has his like optimism, and that's really nice to see. We all need more optimism out there.
Good. He I don't know. He had a very different way of looking at the world, and I appreciated it.
Yeah, exactly. Like everyone needed a Forrest Gump in their life. So I love it. Great pick for here. I'm laughing at your text message.
I know. I want to watch The Mummy now, and I'm sitting here, and I'm like, I know I said I was like, oh, we watched it together the first time, but I'm also like, my birthday's Thursday.
You can
Boss
watch it
already
with
gave
that.
me my birthday off, and I'm like, I could watch The Mummy.
You should definitely watch it. I recommend watching it immediately. Don't wait till you come here. Like, watch it.
I won't sleep on it, I promise.
Okay. Good. All right. So what number are we at right now? Hang on. Let me make sure that I got everything.
Wait, I think I did 3. I did Hannibal, Lawless, and Forrest Gump.
Okay.
So it'd be your number 3.
Second. Because I'm not writing it today. I'm like putting it in a notepad on, my computer. So whatever.
Got this friendo.
All right, so my number 5, here it is on the list, number 5. So I'm gonna do a favorite of mine, right? And I think that it's a perfect one to watch this summer because it's a lot of fun. It's a classic, and it's A Knight's Tale. Please, you know what?
I am saying that. Tia, you're good. You don't have to
Okay.
write it.
I was like, I have a feeling already that you're gonna say that you've never seen this movie, and I'm going to die.
No, my mom was obsessed with this movie growing up.
I love A Knight's Tale. Love it so much. First of all, Heath Ledger is in it. So automatically you got it, right? And let me explain for those who are listening why it's a great movie and why you should definitely rewatch it this summer. By the way, I'm renaming this podcast. It's the top 10 movies to rewatch this summer. So
that's a good one.
Meyer brand grills up the value you expect with quality you can taste in every bite. Try our new quarter-pound beef franks, cradled in our own hot dog buns and topped with tangy, no sugar-added ketchup or easy-squeeze whipped salad dressing. Top your burger with our convenient burger-shaped Colby cheese slices. And don't forget the sides, like party-sized Ripple potato chips, perfect for scooping, and our own special recipe cool and creamy macaroni salad. Stop into Meyer and discover big taste and bigger savings on Meyer brand.
Discount Tire has just made tire shopping easier. Their touchless experience allows you to buy tires and book your appointment online. Then when you drive in, you can stay safely inside your car as the tires are installed. Discount Tire. Let's get you taken care of.
So you got Heath Ledger's character, who is, this person who grew up in poverty, and it's during a time where like no one gets out of their, class, right? It's a complete like caste system where if you're born poor, you're gonna die poor, right? But he loves watching like the jousting shit. But you can only partake in jousting if you are a knight, if you are of royal blood. So pretty much him and Geoffrey Chaucer and his other ragtag team of friends make up this whole thing of him being of royal noble blood so that he can be a jouster, and he's amazing at it, right? And it's such a fun, great freaking movie that is all about, getting away from, following your dreams, really, and not letting anything stop you in the way, because you talk about during a time where that wasn't possible. Like now, if you're born in a certain situation, you have dreams, and to a degree, they're obtainable, right? But then it wasn't even like, oh, it's just impossible to say make that much money. It was like, no, you literally weren't allowed to get out of the position that you were in. So the fact that you have this character and he's getting out of that position, and he's, making a name for himself, and he's making, his dad proud and everything like that, and X, Y, and Z. And I love the end of it, right? You remember he actually ends up getting knighted. They're like, oh, we actually found that you really do have like this tiny bit of noble blood or something. I forget really what that was, but I remember at the end he became a real knight, and I loved it. And I especially loved it because Paul Bettany, our Vision, played Geoffrey Chaucer, who is a real life person. Just like Shakespeare, he wrote sonnets and stories and everything. And A Knight's Tale, the movie, is loosely based on a Geoffrey Chaucer story, literally called A Knight's Tale. And there's this.
Love that.
And before I pass it to you, there's this one scene that I love because, as say someone who likes literature, I found it funny. You know how in the movie Geoffrey Chaucer's character was always getting like fucked with these like two idiots, pretty much, and he's like, "I will immortalize you in my stories as two buffoons," pretty much. And I just thought that was funny because as a writer, you can do that.
I was gonna say, on the other part, I love the French Revolution, right? Yeah, but I was gonna say what's funny, even talking about that, there was a point in time where it's like, you had the first estate, second estate, and third estate, and the first estate was the clergy, and second estate was the noblemen, and third estate was just everybody else, middle class, peasants, everything else. But with the second estate, with the noblemen, there was certain things that only they could do. Like they were the only ones allowed to wear like a sword on their hip or like dress a certain way. And it's like, how would you be like if they're like, yeah, I have a sword on my hip, isn't it cool? And they're like, are you noble? No. Well, then you're not allowed to take that shit off. You're not allowed to have that. That's insane. I know it seems so little, but you think about like, living where we do and being in the time we are. Somebody was like, oh yeah, you can't dress a certain way. You're like, what the fuck you? Like you may get some stares, but nobody's gonna be like, you are literally against the law for wearing this.
Yeah, no, it's like so interesting and sad, right? to realize how things used to be. Another reason, by the way, why I think that this is a good movie to watch during summer is it takes place obviously during medieval times and shit. And I just found out that the Renaissance Fair is happening this summer. So definitely
That's
to get
exciting.
to get into the mood for the Renaissance and all that. It's a perfect movie. And I loved how it was like this movie in medieval times, but then also had modern day rock music. Because there's literally a moment, I don't know if you remember, where the audience literally starts going, we will rock you. And it's like, they didn't have Queen back then, obviously.
You want to know something funny about that? And you're gonna laugh, and I need you to not judge me. Okay.
Yeah.
I had never heard that song until A Knight's Tale, and I was like, yeah, it's a good song. And then I heard the actual song as a kid, and I was like, oh, it's for Knight's Tale.
Brittany, I am convinced that Arkansas is not part of the United States, and just
Wow, Tia. Wow. Way to hate on Arkansas.
Apologies to all our Arkansas listeners out there.
Well, you just don't even like each other, but if you talk bad about New York, they're gonna turn up.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's fine. That's fine. It's fine.
But I was like, they're gonna start fighting about states. I will go over there.
But yeah, I love A Knight's Tale. I miss Heath Ledger. It's such a good movie of his. It's such a fun movie of his, and yeah, it's just a great movie. So make sure you check out A Knight's Tale this summer again. Brittany, what's your number 4?
Well, I'm torn between two, but I'm gonna go ahead and go with this one because you said with Heath Ledger, and I'm gonna go with 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh, I love 10 Things I Hate About You.
My mom, like a lot of the movies I grew up loving, is mom had a habit that if she really loves a movie, she would rewatch it like no other. And so whether or not, like, say, just for example, it's like Annie. I remember watching Annie a million fucking times. Like, my mom would watch it and instantly start rewinding the tape to watch it again. And mom was obsessed with 10 Things I Hate About You. I remember back when I was living with my mom and we had DVR, she would record it and she'd be like, you want to lay down with me and watch 10 Things I Hate About You? I don't know. It's just such a cute movie. It's like, you do have that constant stress of like, what are you going to do when she finds out, that he was paid, to take her on a date and make her fall in love. But guess what? The bad boy actually does fall in love. And yeah, he's kind of rough around the edges, but guess what? He's got a heart of gold.
And
he
so is
actually
she.
does care. And she has a heart of gold. And she's not the hard ass that she makes herself out to be. And that the reason, like, she's the way that she is because the fucking guy that her sister's wanting to get with and how fucking scummy he is. And then, like, you have freaking Joseph Gordon-Levitt was in it. Like,
Yeah.
I was about to say, how do you say his name? He looks so different. He was such an adorable, like, young adult / teenager. I'm like, how did you go from being short little shit, like, looking like an adorable little bean, to being a fucking, like, man, being a Batman, being in all these amazing movies? Holy shit. But I thought he was adorable in that movie. And just, like, I don't know, I think a lot about when Heath Ledger is singing on the bleachers and running like hell as people are trying to get him and are just like laughing, like just being like, I don't know, it was very a very grand display of affection, whereas before in the movie he wouldn't have been capable of doing something like that. And I think it was like also big because she was so poetic that something like that was probably more likely to speak to her.
I love that scene so much. It's like, because as you said, all right, I love this movie because it spoke to me. Because the main girl, right? I obviously felt a connection with her. She was, not the typical teenage high school girl. She rejected these high school teenage norms. She was artsy and, misunderstood and, didn't want to do X, Y, and Z. And I was like, I love her so much, And I loved their father's rules, right? because his whole thing,
Oh.
I don't know if you remember, the whole reason why this happened is because the younger sister wanted to date that scummy guy, but the rule was you can't date unless your older sister dates. And she's like, but she's never going to date anyone. And the father's like, yep, I know.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
It's perfect. And Dad's like, that makes my job so much easier. And so the thing was that they needed to get a guy who would date the girl, and they said, let's get Heath Ledger's character, who, as you said, was the badass. And you can see like he's playing with fire at some point. They're like, I'm pretty sure he's been arrested, da da da.
And
Right?
he was like burning himself with a lighter at some point, and I was like staring at him, and it's like it made me think of like my older brother came by today, and I was like, yeah, people don't really ask me questions. I was like, that's because you always look pissed off, and he's like, that's on purpose so people don't talk to me, and that's all I could think of for him, where it's like just like I'm doing it because that's the exact point. I don't want to be talked to.
I think that's exactly what it was, and that was just so great. I loved their little date. They went like paintballing or something, or paint throwing, and I was like, that's so cool. I love their little relationship with each other. I like when she got drunk at the party because she was like, oh, is this what I'm supposed to do?
She fucking knocks herself out.
And it's just so great. It was really great. And I liked Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character because he really liked the sister and he wanted to get with the sister, even though the sister was getting with a really scummy guy. And it's like, oh,
Yeah,
he's
because
so cute.
manipulating her. Like, she was manipulating him. Like, yeah, we can go on a date after, my sister is dating, or like something like that. Like, I don't know. I can't remember if she intentionally did it or whatever, but I remember going, man, that's kind of scummy.
I'm sorry. I'm like looking at GIFs on Tumblr about it, and I'm just remembering the one-liners that the dad had. It's like, it's the younger sister and the younger sister's friend. It's like, Mr. Stratford, it's just a party. And he goes, and hell is just a sauna.
And he's like, put on the belly. He was a mom. Be like, before you go out, just remember, just fucking remember. Oh my God, this could be you.
Meanwhile, in Arkansas, they're like, I don't see what the big deal is.
You rude bitch.
I just do it just to make fun of Brittany, guys. Don't.
I'm already worked up. I'm already seething.
No, but 10 Things I Hate About You is great. And I like her little poem at the end, because it ended with her just pretty much like, I hate how much like I fucking like you. I hate that even though you betrayed me, I just can't stop like thinking about like he ended up loving you, girl. He ended up loving you.
Like that. You're like, this speaks to my angsty soul.
I think that's what it was, is the whole thing was so angsty. And I think even at the end of the movie, if I remember, like, doesn't he buy her a guitar? And she's just like, this is so cool. And I don't know. That character spoke to me so much as a teenager. I pictured myself as that character. Yeah. But 10 Things I Hate About You. It's a great movie to watch during the summer.
You inspired me.
I really enjoyed that. I think that's a good one. And we have back to back both A Knight's Tale and 10 Things I Hate About You. So yeah, that's great.
As they should be.
As they should be. Oh God. I know I keep saying this, but like R.I.P. Heath Ledger. I just think so. It's so weird because, he was an actor and obviously I didn't know him. And it's like, oh, how do you like think about an actor so much? But I think everyone has that with one actor when they pass away, that you just sit there and go, man, the career that person would have had. It's the same thing I feel as people still talk about Jimmy Dean, right? Realistically, did you know Jimmy Dean was only in about 3 movies? But because he was so
insane.
Yeah, but because he was so good at it and he had such like successful career in such a short amount of time, people still sat there and said, can you imagine what would have happened if he, would have went on? And I think that's how I feel about Heath Ledger, because I sit there and go, if he were still alive, I can picture several roles that he would have gotten over the actors who actually got those roles.
And another thing is just like people love a young tragic death. And it's like the reason why people were obsessed with like Romeo and Juliet, because there's the tragedy of it. And I feel like, of course he was amazing and I'm not taking that away from it, but people like Marilyn Monroe was young.
Marilyn Monroe is young, Amy Winehouse, Aaliyah. I don't know if you were too young for that, but like Aaliyah and Left Eye from TLC, when they passed away, that was like a tragedy.
Didn't one of the Beastie Boys die? I'm trying to remember. Yeah. Because there was one where my mom loved Beastie Boys, but she said after, I can't remember his name, she's like, after someone died, I just stopped listening. And I was like, my mom listened to Beastie Boys?
Don't disrespect Beastie Boys. I love the Beastie Boys.
No, I'm just saying, like when you're like first getting into music and you're like, I don't, because I didn't have the internet, I didn't have any of that. I was just like hearing things and I thought they were modern. And when I was like, Mom, this song's so good, and she's like, yeah, that's Beastie Boys. I was like, the fuck? My mom knows? What is this?
The 80s, man.
The 80s.
No, yeah, so like Heath Ledger is kind of like that to me. Brian loves Aaliyah.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, right. He like,
because even I know that about him, and I've only like met him like once. Actually, have I? Yeah. I had a moment where like my brain pooped out, and I was like, "Have I met him?" But it's been so long ago.
It's been so long. Yeah.
Oh
yeah. No, but he loves Aaliyah, and I mean, I grew up with Aaliyah's music, and I do think that if she were still alive, again, if she were still alive, I think there's a lot of movie roles she would have gotten, and I think that her music would have, continued on.
There's a lot of potential, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's tragic too, where you're like, you could have been all these things, but now you're never gonna have the chance. Kind of sadness.
Yeah, exactly, and especially when they're so young, and it could have been avoidable, because I believe, and if people who are, I'll look it up afterward, but I believe she died in a car accident or
I thought it was a plane accident.
It was a plane accident, because Left Eye died in a car accident while on vacation to a different country.
Yes.
I was getting, because both of them kind of died within like not that long of a time and everything, because I remember, they were really big into the R&B and hip hop world, and Missy Elliott was really huge at that time as well, and I think she really liked those two girls because I think she saw them both as young proteges almost, and so when the two of them passed away, I remember several of Missy Elliott's music videos where she always had both of their, say, portraits in the background.
Well, now I'm sad.
I know, I didn't mean to make it a sad thing, but
I love it. I was just like, man, I was like, it is, there's a lot of tragedy to it. That's like as a kid, which I feel really sad. I'm having trouble thinking of his name because it's been so long. I was obsessed with that guy from Jackass. I had the biggest little girl crush on him.
Brian Dunn.
Yes, I had the biggest crush on him, and when he died, yes, I was obsessed with him because everybody was like, yeah, Bam, and I'm like, yeah, fuck Bam, like, like I'm all about, what'd you say, Chris Dunn?
Brian Dunn.
Brian Dunn. I don't know why I had such trouble remembering his name for a guy I used to be obsessed with. I guess time, but yeah, I was obsessed with him. I thought he was the coolest ever. I liked his beard and everything. I thought he was so cool, and he wasn't gross like the other guys. And I was just like, I don't know. He was just, to me, he was just different. And that sounds so silly coming from a little kid mouth, like my little kid mouth.
I think I really liked out of that crew Johnny Knoxville the most, because I felt like he was I felt like he was the less gross of everyone too.
Right. Freaking Steve-O. Steve-O's really come a long way. Like he came to a point.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
and I
he like
commend him for that. I really do.
because I think he said he at one point like he snorted glass, like glass dust and stuff. Like did some like stuff where he's like, I shouldn't be alive. Like he was very shocked he was, and I'm shocked he was.
He did this great, I think about a year ago or something, a great reenactment of a classic photo of his, because I believe he's either 10 or 12 years sober at this point. But he
Yeah.
did a reenactment of an old photo where the old photo from however many years ago is him like foaming at the mouth, and he has like all these drugs around him, and blah blah. And then he did a reenactment where it's like all vegetables and juices
Oh my
around.
god, I remember. Oh my gosh. I like how they all equally agreed that we're getting too old for this shit and we're not recovering like we used to.
No, not at all. But I did want to mention one thing about the Ryan Dunn death. I was shocked about that because
Oh,
I watched Jackass, I watched Viva La Bam, and when you're younger and you're watching all these guys do all these crazy things, you kind of feel like they're invincible. And then when someone
yeah.
dies, you're like, oh, they're not.
Like, and it was so silly, but I think that was the first like celebrity death that actually like not affected me. Like I'm not like, oh yeah, really messed up. It's like I was pretty fucking upset about it, and I think I had never been like upset about a celebrity's death before that point.
I mean, I think it's okay to be upset. Like some people say, oh, you didn't know them, blah, blah. But when they're such public figures, and you watch their things, I think it's okay, right? So I sit
Yeah.
there and I say, I think it's okay that I'm still kind of really shocked about Heath Ledger's death, or I think it's okay to still be upset that Robin Williams is dead, you know? Like, I think it's okay
I
to do that.
I have a habit of really starting to fall in love with an actor's work after they're dead and after they pass. I'm just like, and you crave more of their content. Like 'cause everything for you, you got into Amy Winehouse after her death, and you do have that kind of tragic moment where you're like, golly, I wish I would have liked them whenever they were alive, to fully appreciate it or be excited for the new content. But now you're at the point where you're like, oh, they're never going to make anything ever again.
I get that, and yes, Brittany is right, 100%. Like, I got into Amy Winehouse after she passed away, because I wasn't even really aware of what type of music she did until I heard her song, and I said, "Oh my God, this is so good." And Brian's like, "It's Amy Winehouse," and I'm like, "This is the music Amy Winehouse made." Um,
Yeah.
but I want to say I get that sometimes with Linkin Park. I sometimes
Oh,
I sometimes have a moment where I sit there and go, man, Linkin Park hasn't come out with an album in a while. And I'm like, fuck. It's like, I remember why
I
now.
forget.
Hmm?
Like, I remember, I think Linkin Park was one of the first, what was it called? Meteora? I think that was like one of the first CDs I ever owned.
Really? That's a good CD.
Yeah, that was a good CD. It really spoke to my wannabe emo emotional self who had great loving parents that bought me black clothing with skulls, and my mom was like, you look so cute in this.
Yeah, definitely. Hybrid Theory and Meteora definitely spoke to my angsty teenager soul of just wanting to be that angsty when in reality I had no reason to be that angsty. But
Mm.
yeah, I was gonna say one last thing about Linkin Park too. I love their music. I'm sorry, they were one of my favorite bands when I was in high school because I said no one's doing it like them. What other
I, don't-
band has this style?
I think it like I still laugh because I'm like, this was goth Tia that was like super like you probably were as afraid to be like, this is how I feel about this music.
I think that Linkin Park kind of was one of those musics that transcended, say, every genre, because it was literally two genres at the same time. It was rap and rock. So whether you were into rap, you were probably into Linkin Park. If you were into rock, you were into Linkin Park. So and even though I had, say, like my goth phase, my music tastes very much in the rock world were very grungy, and Linkin Park kind of was grungy. But again, merging these two methods of music that you couldn't help just be so fucking into.
Well, now I'm depressed all over again.
I'm sorry. Let's move on. To let's move on to the third one. And I guess that this pick is kind of depressing too, but I feel like it's a good event film to rewatch, especially on a Sunday when you're at home, or maybe it's one of those days during the summer that's way too hot. You should not be out, and you're just inside blasting the AC. And it's Avengers End Game. And I say that because it's been 2 years since it came out. It's 3 hours long. And I'm like, you know what? You should rewatch Avengers Endgame. Because why the fuck not, right? I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say it's definitely an hour burner. Like you have time to sit and relax and listen.
Yeah, exactly. So, Avengers Endgame, as you guys know, the culmination of 10 plus years of Marvel Cinematic Universe, every story from Iron Man 1 all the way through, finally coming together for Avengers Endgame. Can I tell you, Brittany, do you ever wish that you could relive for the first time a moment in a movie?
Oh, I do all the time. Yes.
Yeah, mine is I wish I could relive Cap lifting Mjolnir, and I also wish I could relive the portal scene.
No, what's funny about him? When he throws Mjolnir and like catches it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody pointed out that you notice when Thor, gets the hammer, he always like it just stops in his hand. It automatically stops. But because Captain America wasn't sure how it worked, he pulls back like he's catching the shield, like expecting the recoil. So like when he catches the shield, he always like arches his arm back, like
Right.
Because the impact. He does the same with the hammer, not knowing that it would already stop in his hand, like it does with Thor. And I was like, you know what? That's pretty cool.
That's such an interesting thing. I never even thought about that. Thank you for bringing that up.
Right, yeah.
No, I wish I could relive those scenes. Can I tell you? So, I am very excited to go back to a movie theater. I know you've actually been back to a movie theater. I have not yet.
Oh, that's amazing.
Nothing was better than the experience in the movie theater, right? You're watching the whole film, you're taking it in, right? You're watching the time heist, as it's been dubbed. You're watching the time heist. You're watching them go through everything, and then it's the big Thanos scene, and da 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 da. And, it's the big scene where Thor's down, Tony's down, and all there is Steve Rogers, and he looks like he's seen better days, and he's looking at Thanos' army, and he's having his Jon Snow moment, if you know what I mean. And then suddenly you hear on your left, and the quiet in the theater when all of a sudden the circle came and you see T'Challa walk in. The freaking roar in the theater at that moment was like, that's special. I want to relive that so badly.
Man, that like I don't know, that it was so intense because I remember like sitting there. Cause I think I went alone because I really wanted to see it, but I think like, Aaron was still, on the road, he was working. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go. And I was sitting next to a girl and like the exchange we gave each other, like, oh my God, did you see that?
Yeah, it was I saw Avengers Endgame. I got the privilege to see it before it came out to the public. It was for people of the press, right? So I had a press badge to go see it. And so it's like, you have a room full of people that are going to go and write reviews about it afterward and all that. It's not a room full of like, say, just casual fans. And the fact that like that room just bursted out in like cheering was just so cool.
I think that's such a perfect way and really speaks for it, because it's like it means that you have actual critics going, that's the coolest shit I've ever seen. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Oh my god, that was such a great freaking scene. I rewatch that sometimes because just how great that felt, where you're like, they're all back. They're all back.
Oh, that relief. Oh, I know. Whenever I sat there, because you get stressed out, and you sat there for so long. Sorry, I turned my head right when I said that. Um, you feel like it was so intense that you had forgotten that he had actually done the snap. That
Yeah.
the Hulk actually did this, because everything was going on, and I was like, well, he snapped, and what's going on? Something's gotta happen. But in that moment, it felt like nobody was gonna come there. It felt like nothing was going to happen, and then suddenly it did, and you're just like, oh my God.
No, for real. Because in Infinity War, when all of them got snapped away, and then you remember Endgame, the first 2 hours, they weren't back. Everything that happens is in the last hour of that movie. And I remember talking to Kanan before that movie came out, and I said, how do you think they're going to bring everyone back? And Kanan's like, maybe they're not bringing them back. He said, Marvel is looking to retire some of these characters. And I go, no, you can't just not bring them back. And so
Yeah.
and so when you're watching the movie in the first 2 hours, they're not there. And then, as you said, you kind of forget that the Hulk even did the snap. And you're like, shit, are they gone forever? And then suddenly they all come back. And it's just the most satisfying thing ever.
It was intense. It was very intense. I was sitting there, I was just like, I felt like the early moments, I was like, I got a message to you after this. Like that instant moment where you're just like, holy shit. And you know what's funny is like me and Tia very like do not care about spoilers. Yeah, we'll normally like, oh yeah, go ahead and tell me. This movie we're like, we like there's certain movies that we go, okay, normally I don't care, but don't breathe a word. And it was like an unspoken thing was this fucking movie, like we'll see it when we see it, it'll be okay.
It's an unspoken thing with Marvel movies that we're like, we are not going to spoil it. You have to go see it yourself. But yeah, I don't know. To me, that was just such a big moment. And especially, too, when like Steve Rogers finally says, Avengers, assemble. And they all just start like roaring and charging forward. And I'm like, this is the best thing ever.
By the way, I have not seen what is it, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
You're missing
Is
out.
Steve is Steve still alive? Did he die?
They tiptoe around that. They never like come out and actually say it. Like in the show, they tease. A lot of people are constantly asking Sam. They say, "Oh, where's Steve Rogers? I heard he's on the moon somewhere." Just like stupid rumors, but they never fully go into it. So I don't know if Steve is dead or not. Did you watch the trailer for the Eternals yet?
No, I have not got to see it yet.
Oh my god. It's so good, and it touches upon that at the end, actually. At the end of the trailer, they mention both Iron Man and Steve Rogers. So, yeah, you should definitely watch it once we stop the top 10. because it's a really good trailer.
I'm gonna need to.
But whatchamacallit? Yeah, they never really go into it in Falcon and Winter Soldier. As you can imagine, the show, you know, explores Sam becoming Captain America. I don't know if you've seen the
Tears
pitch.
are coming for you.
Oh yeah, you heard the sirens. My bad. Can I say in the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, I really like Bucky in it, and it's not like I never disliked Bucky. It's just his character was never, say, like entirely interesting, right? Because he's always
Yeah.
been, say, the brainwashed muscle and very angsty, if I do say so myself. And I apologize. That siren is really loud right now, so I apologize about that. But in the Falcon and Winter Soldier, he has a lot of personality in it. Him and Sam, you know, as you can imagine, their relationship is snappy. And Bucky is full of sarcasm, which is hilarious. But they have some really nice, genuine moments. And I really enjoyed it. And I have to say, I think the Falcon and Winter Soldier show is my favorite version of Bucky.
You know what's funny is I didn't expect the Baron to be such a fucking like lovable character.
The Baron,
I love the Baron.
the Baron Zemo is so iconic in that show. As soon as he was on screen, I said, "Hold up, this guy is great."
Because he seems so unhinged. And in the other movie where you're just like,
In the Winter,
okay,
in Civil War, sorry.
yeah. And he just seems so like, you know, he's kind of the catalyst for all this bad shit happening. It's like, no, he's pretty chill. He's just, I don't know, he vibing.
No,
Cool.
he is. He's like totally like he's so sassy in it too, and he's totally sarcastic and chilling. Like there's moments where there's literal fights and he's just in the corner like sipping tea. Like whatever. And
I feel like I need to see it just for him.
oh, Brittany, you really do. You really do. Like you would love Zemo in this. There's this one scene in it where it's the three of them on a plane because apparently Zemo's wealthy as fuck. And so they're taking
He's a Baron, of course.
he's a Baron. So they're taking his private jet and it's the three of them. And I forget who they're talking about. Oh God, who are they talking about now? I think they're talking about Marvin Gaye, right? And
Yeah.
Bucky is making it seem as like maybe he's just not, say, the biggest fan of Marvin Gaye's music or he's not familiar with it. And Sam is like, you know, Steve loved Marvin Gaye. And Bucky's like, okay. He's like, I'm not saying Marvin Gaye's bad. I'm not familiar with it. And Baron Zemo goes into the like this whole spiel of like how, you know, Marvin Gaye's music really captured the African American spirit, and he's going through all these like things, and Sam's just looking at him like he's crazy, and he's like, "You are completely out of line," but he's right, and I just cracked up, and I'm like, Zemo is a man of taste.
He's a man of taste. I mean, no, I just didn't expect him to be so sassy.
So sassy, but I love it. But anyway, Avengers End Game is my number 3. Brittany, let's move on. What is your number 2?
I think I'm gonna go. I know we've spoken about this recently. I just really, really do enjoy this movie. It goes back to my mom. You know, I love my mom. I'm gonna go with Matilda. Because we would always put it on. It was always just a relaxed movie, like a movie we just put on and just enjoy. Because yeah, it had adult themes and you had the scariness going on, but like I know this is gonna be a lot, but like the setup of it is a masterpiece of like going through her childhood. Nothing feels rushed. You have her childhood, you see her parents, like how awful they are. You have to see her begging to actually go to school because she teaches herself how to read. You know, you see her starting to get her powers, how she's learning to control them. And then her going to school, meeting Miss Honey, and like dealing with Miss Trunchbull. And it's just, I don't know, it was a movie where nothing felt rushed, and it was almost so like, it was so filled with stuff that you almost felt like you were watching a movie and its sequel all in one go, because it had everything and didn't feel like it lacked anything. Because it's like, to me, I always remember the first half, her childhood, her getting her powers, blah, blah, blah. Then convincing them to go to school and dealing with like basically the school arc of the story. And then, until her adoption by Miss Honey. Oh no, it's so cute. Like, and what's funny for a movie, because this is really before we had superhero movies like the ones we know today and go, oh yeah, Marvel, DC, really, superhero movies, which I don't know if we had Spider-Man by this point. I do have that timeline kind of mixed up, but you didn't see a lot of powers in movies. So to have like this like very like ordinary movie where the girl is freaking like telekinetic, was really, I don't know, it was so masterfully done, and it's such like a soothing movie for me. It's like a warm glass of milk type kind of movie.
I love Matilda. I believe we spoke about it not too long ago, and as you said, I like how you worded it, that it was almost a superhero movie before superhero movies, because she had powers and we all wanted those powers.
Oh yeah, I was like, oh, I remember. Do you remember being a kid and just like trying to lift things with your mind, and if a wind like blew it ever so slightly, you're like, oh my god, I have powers.
So, kind of related to that, but not in the Matilda realm, which fantastic pick. I'm gonna get back to that in a second.
No, you're.
I assume that you watched Pokemon, right? Like the original first Pokemon.
Sabrina.
Huh?
Are you about to talk about Sabrina, the gym leader?
No, wait, am I? The one who can bend things with her mind?
Bend the spoons.
Okay,
yes.
yeah. Okay, so that scene where they're talking about when she was little and she first learned and everything, I remember as a kid watching that and going, and instantly trying to get a spoon. And like, oh my
god, I did the exact same thing. I like how like, yeah, there's like a couple years difference in us, but we're both like, but that is just universal, Tia. That's universal. I gotta go try to bend the spoon with my mind now.
I gotta go try and bend the spoon with my mind. Like, I remember instantly running and grabbing a spoon, and I was like, "This is how it happens." I was like, "I'm young. I have to learn." I was like,
oh, "The stars are aligned, Tia. The stars are aligned.
It's gonna develop." And it, only to find out the crushing reality that that will never happen.
Oh, Tia, not sad. Stop it.
Oh my god. Wasn't meant to be sad, it was meant to be funny.
No, I'm
but
just teasing.
Yeah, Matilda is great. We've talked about it before, where everything about it. I love Danny DeVito's character. I think I told you that as horrible as her parents were, I do still love that they showed at least some sort of resistance to when Matilda was like, just sign the paper in order to give me over to Miss Honey. And I really felt as if like they did feel a sense of not wanting to do that from a standpoint of like, oh, well, but you're our daughter and everything. But I really love that. And we've talked about how much we love the
kid. I just had to throw it out there because I was like, man, if you haven't seen Matilda, which you you have to, but it's like, now you have to rewatch it if you've already seen it. It's just, you ever see those things where it's like, this is your sign to go do something? This is your sign to go rewatch Matilda.
You have to rewatch Matilda. Matilda was amazing. Everyone likes Matilda. Whatchamacallit. So yeah, that's a fantastic pick. Everyone who's listening should definitely rewatch Matilda. Yeah, we are down to the number one on our top 10 movies you should rewatch this summer. Let's go through the list before we get down to number one. So we have Silence of the Lambs, The Mummy, Lawless, Godzilla vs. Kong, Forrest Gump, A Knight's Tale, 10 Things I Hate About You, Avengers End Game, Matilda, and the number one is going to be Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, ooh.
Um,
That's good.
and I figured that The Wolf of Wall Street was a good movie to rewatch this summer because it's absolutely bonkers. It's an absolutely bonkers movie that why not, right? It's the summer, let's have some fun. Why not have some fun while watching Leonardo DiCaprio play a character that absolutely loses his freaking shit throughout the movie?
That movie was intense. I watched it for the first time at your place, remember?
Yeah.
Like, and I just remember like looking at you, I was like, what the fuck is this? Between John Bernthal's character in it too. I know you're only really there for but oh my god, that movie was intense. Holy shit. Now I kind of do want to rewatch it. Aaron loves that movie too.
I remember my mom and dad saw it before me and they were like, good thing we didn't see it together because obviously there's a lot of sex scenes and the movie literally starts with Leonardo DiCaprio's character snorting coke from like some girl's asshole. So clearly not
Perfect.
the kind of
That's good wholesome family fun, Tia.
not the kind of movie you want to watch with your parents. But I don't know. I loved Leonardo DiCaprio just going balls to the wall insane playing this freaking guy, right? I thought it was hilarious how he's this salesman who thinks he's going to, be really good in the stock exchange. And it's right at the time of a recession. So he can't work in New York City. So he decides to start working in like Long Island it's like Long Island at some like little rinky dink place and just ends up building this massive empire. But it's all illegal. They're all doing a crime. And just the whole like thing of it as it goes, just seeing his descent from being so rich and having it all, quote unquote, to just losing everything. I don't know. Sometimes in a lot of movies, that whole like formula stresses me out, but for some reason, it was a joy to watch in this.
Wasn't he fairly happy at first before the money?
Yeah,
like,
and
wasn't he he wanted to do more, but I can't remember. Was he married before Margot Robbie's character, or was he like dating someone? I can't remember.
No, he was married. He had a first wife who was like, I don't care about the nice cars and the this and the that. We happy in our little house, and all that. And then he just got so money hungry, he got into drugs. He, met Margot Robbie's character. He left his wife for her. They get married into this big house and everything. And they're miserable. They're absolutely miserable with each other. But whatchamacallit, what was I going to say? Do you know, I didn't even know what the hell, like, I had heard about them, but I didn't even know what, like, Quaaludes were until this movie. And it's like, they talk
Did
about
you say they
Quaaludes.
don't exist anymore?
That's a thing. That's a real thing. They don't exist anymore. They don't make them anymore. Like, so that, you don't see anyone taking Quaaludes anymore because they literally don't exist. They're like an extinct drug, which is
I
insane.
think didn't they used to be used for like postpartum, I think, or was it like something was originally I think for mostly like issues for women, but I don't know what it was for now.
Yeah, I think they were made for, like housewives that weren't happy with their husbands, and the husbands were obviously telling the therapist, like, my wife is complaining too much. Just say she's hysterical and give her something.
Well, it's, yeah, well, what's crazy is like, remember in Deadwood, like barbiturates are like a big thing throughout history that have been really prescribed for women a lot, like for like depression or things like that. And it's like Quaaludes are a synthetic barbiturate like central nervous system depressant and a popular recreational drug in the US.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not just saying that to be like, any sort of way. I'm saying like there was a time in history where literally if say a woman even voiced being depressed or sad. They were like, oh, she's just hysterical. Just give her
Yeah.
something,
Yeah, give
So,
her something.
but anyway, in Wolf of Wall Street, when they're taking Quaaludes all the time, my favorite scene is when Leonardo DiCaprio's character and Jonah Hill's character decide to take those Quaaludes that are like 20 years old, and they don't think it's working at first, so they take a shit ton, and you just see Leonardo DiCaprio's character just almost go into a vegetative state. And I love when he gets in the car and he's like, and I got home without a single scratch on the car. And then you see the real car and it's pretty much an accordion at that point.
Oh my god, right. Oh wait, looking at it, it said that it was supposed to be like a sleep aid. No wonder he couldn't fucking move.
I just love that movie. It's so crazy. It's so bonkers. And yeah, I love John Bernthal's character. And I love that scene actually, where Leo is trying to get all of his friends like, oh, sell me this pen. And they're all like, well, it's a nice pen and da 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 da. And John Bernthal's character instead is like, oh, I need you to sign something. Well, I don't have a pen. Supply and demand.
Yes, John Bernthal was great in that.
He was great in that movie when he's like, "Ma, get some chicken."
It's like tell your sister, and I was like, bro, leave his sister alone.
Yeah, no, I love that movie, and I love the end of that movie so much when Leo's character is trying to like talk to all of these people in like a conference, and none of them can sell him the pen. And again, you could just see how much his life has declined because honestly, he was portraying a real life character like that actually happened to a guy, and I'm like, you know what? You screwed a lot of people out of money, so I don't feel bad for you. Anyway, Wolf of Wall Street is a great movie to rewatch this summer. It's a shit ton of fun. To me, it's one of Leonardo DiCaprio's best acting performances ever. One that he should have won an Oscar for.
Yeah, before we did it, like the Revenant was good, but it wasn't that good.
It wasn't that good. And John Bernthal's in it. Our man John Bernthal was in it, so we gotta watch it. Rocking a like glorious mustache and like soul patch or something on his face. So
Oh my gosh.
go check that out and everything. But yeah, Brittany, that is our list of the top 10 movies to rewatch this summer. Before we wrap everything up tonight, do you got any honorable mentions?
I'm trying to think besides Annie, because another one was Mom. What's that? The Goonies.
The Goonies is a good one. Yeah, it's a fun
it makes
movie.
me happy. Also had what the fuck is his name? Thanos. God, what's his name?
Josh Brolin. Oh, Labor Day.
Yeah, Labor Day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which I think he was also in the Goonies.
Yes, he was.
He was in the Goonies. I'm trying to think of anything else. The Resident, because it's fucked up, and I don't know. I like a fucked up movie on a good night or a good day.
Who doesn't love a fucked up movie on a good day?
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Whatchamacallit? I would say, just for shits and giggles, I Know What You Did Last Summer, because it has summer in the title.
Yeah, there you go.
Deadpool is always a good movie to watch because it's a lot of fun. So I'm just trying to think of like fun movies to watch because it's the summer. We should all have a lot of fun. But yeah, I don't have any other honorable mentions other than that. I think we did a good job on our list. Hopefully, we have given our listeners lots of great suggestions, and we do this every week. So make sure that you check us out because we're awesome, obviously. But Brittany, before we get out of here, why don't you let everyone know where you're at, what you're doing, and all that good stuff.
gonna say you can always find me on Twitch at itty bitty Brit. I'm hoping to get a lot more consistent again now that I'm out of college for the summer. I just have my 2 internships and regular work, and I played Resident Evil 8. Dommy Mommy was fucking amazing. Started playing Nier Automata, which is from that song I sent you, Tia. The freaking they made up a language for this game, and it's supposed to sound like all the European languages like mixed together into one, and it sounds like legitimate words, like it almost like it is words, but it sounds like you should be able to understand it, but you just can't quite grasp it. I don't know. But if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at ittybitty_Brit0, and I update my schedule, photos, cats, the whole 9 yards.
Yes, please make sure that you check that out, everyone. Brittany is a very dedicated streamer who spends lots of her time entertaining you all. I thought of one honorable mention, by the way, one more. When Harry Met Sally, because I like that movie a lot.
Oh, that was a good movie. I watched it for the first time with you too.
I was gonna say, did I show you that movie? Because that's a great movie.
Yeah, because I remember laughing my ass off. It's like, I'll have what she's having.
I'll have what she said. That honestly is one of the best scenes ever, just because it's like, not even because she's particularly that convincing, but because he's so sure. Like, he's so sure about that. And it's like her character is so uptight, right? She's always, she's got to have her food super particular and everything. So the fact that she was like, no, I need to prove you wrong, and I'm literally going to do it in the middle of a crowded diner, to me is just so hilarious. And that woman, I'll have what she's having.
Right? Like, I think it's because it's like you don't expect like the elderly lady to be like, oh yeah, you know the implication.
Whatever is making her react that way, I want it. But anyway, yeah, so please everyone make sure that you let us know what movies that you plan on rewatching this summer. Make sure that you're checking us out, geekvibesnation.com. It has links to all of our social media accounts. Please make sure, if you're not already subscribed to our Geek Vibes podcast YouTube account, we are over 1,000 followers, so we are very excited about that. We have a merch store. Please make sure that you grab something and support us. We really, really appreciate it. And we're just going to be giving you a lot. We got the Eternals, so the reaction to the trailer is on our YouTube page. We're going to be covering the Loki series, which is coming out in about 2 weeks, so please make sure you check that out as well. And again, we'll be reviewing Black Widow, Shang-Chi, the Eternals, all of the freaking amazing Marvel things that are coming out, all of the amazing DC projects that are coming out. So please make sure that you check that out. And as for me, you can, of course, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at TC_Stark. And we will see you guys next week. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Mattress Firm's best Memorial Day sale ever ends soon. Right now, save up to $500 on our top-rated brands when you get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen for a twin. Plus, get a free adjustable base when you spend $6.99 on Sealy, or save up to $500 on Tempur-Pedic adjustable mattress sets. Shop America's best brands confidently with our low price guarantee. Hurry into Mattress Firm. Offer valid with qualifying purchase. Restrictions apply. Valid at participating locations only. For offer details, visit mattressfirm.com/sale.
You didn't.
Yep.
I thought you learned your lesson.
I guess not.
Dad, the vultures are back.
Okay, kids, you know the drill. Windows up.
Gone too far looking for a good deal on gas? Try Price Match, only from BP Me Rewards at participating BP and Amoco stations. Learn more at bp.com/bestprice.